Hello, everybody. What's going on? That's right. The Boxing Source is back, and this is the May 1st, 2023 edition of the Boxing Source radio show. That's right. The host right here, James Bell, the leader of the Boxing Source on social media. You can follow us on all the social media channels on Twitter, Facebook. You also have Instagram, and yes, we are on YouTube, of course, here with the YouTube channel with news and interviews and all that type of stuff here. But in this particular episode, we're going to be tackling a few topics here. Two of them, we have standing out as, there is a fight coming up on Saturday over in Mexico that we will be talking about. But there has also been a lot of buzz, a lot of talk about comments from a certain individual in the boxing game. And here I have joining with me to join in this conversation is a well traveled, a very experienced media and boxing savant, I would say. Of course, he is the host of War Week Radio Network, Mr. Joseph Herron. How you doing?
Brother Jay, it's always a pleasure to visit you, brother. And I bring great tidings and some news to break on your wonderful channel, brother. I wanted you to get it first, so you could, just share the good tidings, man, with everyone on your page as well as all of your social media outlets. So would you like me to announce that now, or do you want me to save it for later on in the show, brother? It's up to you.
Let's go for it now. What is those, like those neighborhood university commercials that you say, hey, you could do it, next month, you could do it next week. No, do it right now.
Oh, very good, brother Jay. Big news, and it's going to be announced in all major periodicals. I want you to get the jump. You can announce it tonight, July 8th. In the Alamo City, San Antonio, Texas, at the home of the San Antonio Spurs, the last place San Antonio Spurs. It's going to be the third date, hopefully 3 times a charm, for Virgil Ortiz versus Hermanos Staniones in San Antonio, Texas. Yes, Golden Boy returns with their superstar red-hot prospect, Floyd Schofield, in the undercard. How do you like that, brother?
Woo! There we go. Yes, as you said, hopefully third time is the charm for that bout in the welterweight division between Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Hermanos Staniones. Of course, Hermanos Staniones is currently the WBA regular, as I say, welterweight champion, and Virgil Ortiz Jr. stands as the mandatory challenger for that particular title. And yes, we have had 2 separate dates scheduled for that particular bout. The first one was postponed due to Staniones having to go to the hospital. And then this one that was supposed to be actually Saturday, and it got postponed because Virgil Ortiz had his what I'd say
rhabdomyolysis,
dialysis attack, as this has happened before with Virgil Ortiz Jr.
Twice in 1 year. 1 year. That's not good. Let's hope that he has all of this behind him.
Yes,
as well as a sound strategy to combat this illness moving forward.
Right.
Because if he wants to compete at the world-class level, and if he claims that activity is indeed, lack of activity, I should say, is indeed what the culprit, who the culprit is, then you know what? He needs to make plans with Golden Boy Promotions or some other promotional company. Hint, hint. Moving forward to stay busy, fighting at least 5 or 6 times throughout the year. He cannot afford to wait for TV dates any longer.
Right.
fight off TV, non-title fights. Fighters and promoters need to bring that back in order to create new fans of boxing. Guys, that's how you create new fans, is by bringing these events to the people, not just waiting for the sporadic event once or twice a year. And so that needs to be a strategy moving forward, if that is indeed what is creating this illness. Now, once again, we really don't know, and from the less sounds of it, neither does he really. He's just taking a guess, but it very well could be a genetic condition, which is not good if that's what it is.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, though, they make it across the finish line this time, because, James, for my money, this is one of the best matchups that you could possibly make in boxing today.
Right. And I mean, it's definitely the the best fight they could make at welterweight at this particular point. When they had announced it, I was like, yeah, this is a very good, especially coming off of what Stadionis had in his last victory, which was over a year ago. And that one there where he defeated Razab Utayev at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas. That was a great fight, man. I mean,
and what sucks though, James, is they really shafted him. That should have been, for all intents and purposes, the co-main event.
Yeah,
they really shafted him and put it on the undercard, the prelims for free on Showtime or Fox.
Yep.
And it should have been seen by a much larger audience. Like, you look, and the stadium wasn't even filled. It wasn't even halfway filled.
It wasn't half filled. Nope.
And you know what? That was the fight of the night.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great all-action fight. And once again, I would have been pissed if I were Richard Schaefer.
Yeah, I would want to have my guy be at the best, spot, there in a pay-per-view, at least in a pay-per-view portion of the card.
Especially when you consider that he's the only reason why Spence was allowed to fight Ugas in the first place.
Right.
He took step-aside money to take a step back. Hey, man, the least you could do was put me in your co-main event.
Yep.
You greedy bastards. Anyway, pardon my French.
He took the step aside so that he wouldn't fight Ugas. It would be Spence that would fight Ugas at the very.
Can you believe it's been over a year, my friend?
Yeah, it's been over a year. It's been over a year since Mr. Stadionis has been in the ring, and so has Errol Spence Jr. But that's a whole other story. But that particular bout, like it says, scheduled for July 8th, and it's going to be in San Antonio, which I thought is a little bit, better, because remember this one here that happened over the weekend, that was in Arlington?
Yeah. And let me tell you, boy, it was and once again, just people who told me, who went to this event, it was a barren wasteland.
Yeah.
There was nobody there.
Yeah. So, hopefully, this gets them to have some good amount of buzz. It'll give them, ample time to properly push and promote the main event and the full card, so that they get a great amount of support. Therefore, Virgil Ortiz Jr., Ian Stadionis, and all the fighters that'll be involved in the card, including Floyd Schofield Jr., who just came off of, a victory over Jesus Valentin at the T-Mobile Arena, scored that knockout victory in that particular fight card. So he'll be featured in that July 8th card in San Antonio. So definitely we'll be looking forward to seeing Floyd Schofield back in action. I know that he has been generating some buzz here recently. So they're campaigning at the 135-pound division. So, people got to look out. Got to be on the lookout for.
Well, I tell you what, though, don't look for Golden Boy to put in William Zepeda and Floyd Schofield together anytime soon.
Oh no!
Ooh.
Oh
I tell you
no!
what, unless you faced an intelligent pressure fighter like William Zepeda, a guy who's a virtual machine in the ring. Yeah, you don't want to ruin any of your prospects that way. They already found out the hard way against Hector Tanajara Jr.
Yeah. Yeah.
When's the last time you've heard of Hector Tanajara Jr.? Yeah, and they subsequently dropped him like a bad habit.
Right.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting those guys and meeting up with those guys again, and I called his last fight. So it's on YouTube if you guys are interested.
Right.
To hear the way I called it.
Yeah. So y'all go ahead and check that out there with Joe. Like I said, he does commentary. He hosts, a weekly, 2 shows basically. There with Coach James Gogi, and also has Coach Roddy Shields as well.
And also, I'm going to be doing ring announcing on May 20th at Techport Arena in San Antonio, Texas for TMB Promotions. So, guys, if you're in the city, please come and say hi. I'm going to be doing the ring announcing duties and being the MC of the evening. So,
there you go. It's Amanda San Antonio there, Mr. Joseph here. Salute to Juice here in the live conversation. Show a salute to myself and Mr. Joe. Brother
Juice, how art thou, man? Oh, in case you're just arriving, we just dropped the news, okay, for James and the Boxing Source, that we're getting finally the 3rd date. Hopefully they make it to this one at the AT&T Center, home of the Spurs in San Antonio, Texas. Finally, Virgil Ortiz versus Amanis Stanionis, July 8th, with Floyd Schofield Jr. on the undercard. How do you like that, brother?
Yep, we got a real big fight coming up in the summer. There, just what is it about? About 8 weeks or so. So you got a good amount of time to get prepped up and things like that. And, like I said, for me to try to get over to San Antonio, I have to, they don't, man, I don't think they have direct flights from where I'm at. I have to connect from Dallas, basically. But, it's still a good little trip. San Antonio is a great city, man. So, I'd like to, get back over there one more time, So, we'll see how, we get those situations for that.
Yeah, I tell you what, brother, it's shocking that San Antonio, the Alamo City, is in fact the 7th largest city in America. Believe it or not, it is the 7th largest city in America, and it is by far, and when you come and visit again, it is by far the largest small town in the world. It's got that culture and small town feel. Culturally, you could say it's way behind metropolitan areas like DC or like San Francisco, or even like Denver, Colorado. But we like it that way.
I feel you. Sometimes downtown area for San Antonio, has like its highs and lows, but it doesn't really get too high. That's pretty much.
It's in my opinion, and I've been all over this great country. In my opinion, it is the nicest, cleanest downtown area of any major metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Like you go to in comparison, you go to New York, you go to Miami, you go to New Orleans, you go to Denver. Brother, downtown San Antonio is spotless compared to all of those places.
Yeah.
And it is so beautiful. And the Riverwalk guys, if you've never been, please come and join us July 8th, right in the middle of summer for this beautiful event.
Yeah.
Listen to me, man. I sound like a travel agent. Holy shit.
Denver ain't all that bad either. But I think Denver is not that large, as far as like downtown area is concerned. So it's that's one thing to consider for those that's like visiting Denver. But
Hey, brother, hold on. Now, drum roll now. I'm going to give you the official Jimmy Lennon intro, right? Because here's our main topic du jour, right?
Okay.
Fight fans, here we go. It's time for the main event of the evening. There you go.
All right. So, main topic, of course, has been from the former, as I say, unified lightweight champion, Mr. Teofimo Lopez. Yes, he does have an upcoming bout at the theater in Madison Square Garden on June 10th against the WBO In-Ring Magazine super lightweight champion, Mr. Josh Taylor.
Well, when you're talking about upcoming bouts, the only bout that Teofimo Lopez seriously has is a bout of stupidity and delusion. Putting it mildly.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, brother Bruce? How you doing, my friend?
Bruce Gas in the building here on the live chat. Shout out to Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more, who does have a YouTube channel. Please check out his YouTube channel. He has great reviews on past fights. Also, I think he has a review of movies and things like that too. So be sure to check that out. But back to Teofimo Lopez, who had recent comments about what goes down on Top Rank on ESPN. He says he told Punch Boxing in an interview, quote, "This is the thing. Commentators are the ones that convince everybody someone else is winning. So watch the Kambosos fight without the commentators. Watch my last fight without the commentators, and you will see the results. At the fighters meeting, I dissed Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley in front of ESPN's production for all the affiliation and corruption that they do," Lopez said. And what happened? I put more weight on my back, and all they was talking about right away when I slipped with the first knockdown they called. I slipped. They called it right away. But what did Bradley say? He's hurt. He's hurt. So I don't sugarcoat shit. All these bubbles, she riding, and they, do all this stuff. But that is the problem. I don't ride off that. I said, well, and I was like, wow. And then the follow-up, he says, and just to put it on the spot, this is my last fight on ESPN. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. This is why this fight against Josh Taylor means everything to me. If they want the black fighters, they can keep them. I brought Bud Light to Top Rank.
You mean the brand that's just taken a 30% dive in sales in America? You talking about that Bud Light? Shingao, I'm sorry. Could you repeat those last two lines, those magical last two lines that you stated towards the end there? Could you repeat that, please, JR?
He said, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. This is why this fight against Josh Taylor means everything to me. If they want the black fighters, they can keep them. I brought Bud Light to Top Rank. Now.
Dun, dun, dun.
That is what Mr. Teofimo Lopez told Punch Drunk Boxing in an interview that was...
I tell you what, it's very ironic that the channel is called Punch Drunk Boxing, because if I didn't know any better, I'd say that Teofimo Lopez was a bit punch drunk. Damn. What the hell's wrong with that boy?
Also, shout out to Mr. Mill City Boxing. Mill City Boxing has been doing work. We've been collaborating on a couple things. Too. And Mr. Teofimo Lopez Sr. Was with Mill City Boxing earlier, and he says, "quote When my son said Top Rank can stay with all their black fighters." Because you know what it is. When Devin Haney came into Top Rank and all this, they're promoting him more than they're promoting my son, and he feels a little type of way. You got to understand this. We're fighting the top dude, bro, and we got to get some respect for that. And he just feels some type of way, like, oh, they just want to promote the black fighters. You got Keyshawn Davis, you got Shakur Stevenson, you got Jared, the real big baby Anderson. So you got all these fighters from Top Rank that are getting more recognition than my son is getting, and he's trying to fight the top dogs.
Well, I tell you what,
okay.
they've looked a lot better than Teofimo Lopez in their last several fights.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's one thing, right? Now, all right, here's my take on it. And well, we kind of like say that the question is Teofimo Lopez out of line? Well, yes, he is. And here's the thing about Teofimo Lopez. For those that may have followed Mr. Teofimo Lopez in the timeline, of course, like I said, he is the former unified lightweight champion of the world. Yes, he did defeat Vasily Lomachenko by decision to win those unified lightweight titles. However, because of him winning that fight against Vasily Lomachenko, that had him feel, over the top, so to speak, because of how that particular fight was built up and how I guess Top Rank built up Vasily Lomachenko, up to that point. So with him getting that win, he felt like he was a top dog. He was the number one guy and everything like that. Well, timing is the key for everything. And timing was key for that. Because that particular bout, of course, y'all know, was in a bubble. So Top Rank couldn't really gauge where Teofimo Lopez was at that point. But Teofimo Lopez thought that he was everything at that point. So after that fight, hey, he wanted to move forward and he wanted to say, hey, I want this, I want that. I'm the main man, I'm the money guy, I need all this. While he has a fight coming up with George Kambosos. So when that fight came up, Teofimo Lopez basically overpriced himself. And so that is why that particular fight got, just thrown up in the air. And we see what happened with all that. We seen how long it took for that particular fight to take place.
And what happened when Triller tried to sell tickets and found out that Teofimo Lopez wasn't nearly the commodity or mainstream attraction that they thought he was.
Yeah. And that was the whole thing too. Triller, that was at the time backed by Mr. Peter Khan, who was Moses, So hey, I mean, Teofimo Lopez thought, hey, I cashed in, I got this, big old bid that was over $6 million from Triller. I get all this money, yes. And it was supposed to be in Miami. It was somewhere in Miami or something like that around June of that year.
Yeah, it was supposed to be same weekend. It was supposed to be the day before Mayweather versus Logan Paul.
Yep.
In the same city.
That's right. And yeah, that didn't get any buzz at all.
But once
That
again, Trillers,
speculate.
and once again, Mayweather and Showtime, Mayweather's trying to help out that event. Say, hey, look, we're bringing all the mainstream media. They're going to be in the same city. We're trying to throw you guys a bone, but you guys are too stupid to understand that, and you scrapped the entire event.
Yep.
It's like we're putting our event in Dolphin Stadium, and you guys are in Marlin Stadium.
Yep.
The media's already there. Take advantage of it.
Yep.
But once again, Triller's inexperience. And yeah, they just folded like a house of cards, pushing back the date 7 times, James.
Yep. 7.
So what do you do when you're a lightweight and you're already killing yourself to make weight? And they push back the date, and you consistently have to be peaking for 7 different dates throughout the entire year. That's why he came down with so many health issues, right?
Yep.
And then now they default. DAZN wins the purse bid, is the runner-up, right? So now they stage the event. They stage it in Teofimo Lopez's backyard at the Hulu Theater in Madison Square Garden, where he's going to be facing Josh Taylor.
Yep.
And what happens?
He lays an egg.
Yeah, well, you know what? Once again, you're killing yourself. You change the goalpost. You move the goalpost 7 different times. Yeah, of course he's going to look like feces. Of course he's going to feel like hot garbage. You know, and if he were smart, he would have canceled that event and just listened to the very smart people around him at ESPN and Top Rank. Like, you've got the best promoter in the world with the best matchmakers in the world. Why the hell would you think that you'll have a better chance of succeeding in this brutal ass-beating business with Eddie Hearn or with Peter Kahn of Triller?
I mean, all he had to do was just sit back and just let things, ride out, and they would have been able to just properly promote it. And what they wanted to do, Bruce Trampler and Bob Arum and Todd DuBois, they just wanted to see what his actual value was, because they really didn't know. He had never main evented. He had never headlined an event outside of that. That's what Macheco.
Never. So, and let's fast forward now. What happened when they put him in the big room at the Garden against San Martin? You were there, brother.
Yep, I was.
Did you hear crickets throughout the big hall?
Yeah. And that wasn't a good look. I mean, that's what Top Rank. I mean, Top Rank put up that money, those resources in order for the big theater or the big arena for Madison Square Garden for them to have that particular fight card on there. And they did have Keyshawn Davis in there. Yeah, they did have Jared Anderson on there. But you are the headliner. You are the one that they put all of those resources towards. And you are the one that you're going to say, hey, let me go ahead and show them why I'm this guy. And you couldn't necessarily do it. Some people may say, okay, Sandro Martin's a tough out or whatever it is. But it ended up being a split decision. Like, if you're, supposed to have that talent and people believe in you, you got to be able to work around fighters like that.
Just like Tank Davis on the big stage, you're expected to shine if you have all those resources behind you.
Yep.
Right?
So he wasn't quite able to do that. He still got the win. So that put him in position to, be a top contender, so to speak, in the 140-pound division. So now he is there. He ends up fighting Josh Taylor. And it's like, okay, you're up against Josh Taylor, but I think, Joseph, I think you kind of know what this means for Teofimo Lopez when you're put in this particular position. Because for me, this is put up or shut up.
No, no, no. Let me tell you, not just for him, for the fighter that he's kind of throwing daggers at. Look, let's just translate this for all of you guys. If you want those black fighters, you can have them. What that means is if you want these non-ticket selling, non-ratings draws, you can have them. And he's singling out both Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. Okay? Now, he's looking at Devin Haney. Right now, he's got that big Lomachenko fight in his hometown in the big room at the Grand Garden Arena. Okay? You got the money you want. That's the only reason why this fight is on pay-per-view, because you demanded so much money. This is the last fight on your contract. We're putting this in your hometown. Brother, this, and once again, people don't realize it because I guess maybe they just don't know the business, but this is Top Rank's way of saying to Devin Haney as well, okay, brother, this is going to determine whether we're going to pursue you aggressively after your contract is finished. If this is disappointing in terms of ticket sales, ratings, if you don't draw flies to shit, so to speak, in this pay-per-view endeavor, we're going to say happy trails. Thanks for playing. And we're not going to show you the same love. We learned the hard way from dealing with another diva who had an inflated sense of worth named Terrence Crawford. We're not going to do the same thing again. So you're going to have to show us, Devin Haney. And once again, if Teofimo Lopez just trusted his brain trust at Top Rank, they would tell him all of this. But he's too damn stupid, delusional, stubborn, idiotic, and ignorant to understand the business.
Yeah.
It's that simple, James.
Yep. And, before I add in our next panelist, you pretty much put it up there with Devin Haney. And Devin Haney really has a lot of work ahead of him for May 20th.
Yeah.
Because now we're talking about
James, I can tell you this, brother, and I would love to discuss this.
Right.
I can't believe how many people are writing off Vasyl Lomachenko in this fight.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone is basically saying, oh, yeah, Devin Haney, this is the lock. Yeah. He's going to wipe up the floor with a future Hall of Famer and an all-time great like Vasyl Lomachenko. And look, I'm favoring Devin Haney to win.
Right.
But if anyone thinks that he's going to have a walk in the park on May 20th in front of his hometown fans, brother, go watch some film study.
Well, I'm going to talk about the quote-unquote hometown fans in a bit, but I want to add in our next panelist here coming up, checking in from Atlanta. That's right. It is the Boxing Academic in the building.
Woo-hoo! Oh, I appreciate the applause, fellas.
Woo-hoo! How you doing, Academic? It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, doing okay. Just leaving the gym. Figure out, pop in. I saw James's message that he has a show. So, you guys are talking about Devin Haney and Lomachenko.
Uh-huh. Well, specifically, though, we're talking about Teofimo Lopez and his words, and we're translating it for the people who don't speak moron, who aren't fluent in moron, right? Did I get that right? Did I get that right, James?
What did he say?
No, go ahead and repeat that, James. You've got the quote verbatim.
Okay, let me pull this up here once again.
Do we have to go through this again? Yes, we do.
Yeah, we got to run through this thing here one more time. So, the thing with Teofimo Lopez, like he says, hey, first he said like the commentators are the ones that convince everybody that someone else is winning. So watch the Cambosos fight without the commentators, or watch the last fight without the commentators, and you will see the results. And to fast forward, he said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. This is why this fight against Josh Taylor means everything to me. If they, as in ESPN or Top Rank, want the black fighters, then they can keep them. I brought Bud Light to Top Rank." Yeah, this is a very, very very interesting comments from Mr. Teofimo Lopez there. That was when he was talking with Punch Drunk Boxing.
You're being
And
nice. Interesting comments. You're being nice.
and it's just Teofimo Lopez kind of going on. Shout out to the real deal on the live chat. Says Teofimo Lopez when he speaks, it's like he's won already, and not as if he will fight him soon. Or I guess like in the 80s. But yes, he does have a big task ahead of him against Mr. Josh Taylor, the former undisputed champion at 140 pounds, the current Ring Magazine and WBO super lightweight champion. And yes, that will come up on June 10th at the theater at Madison Square Garden. But Teofimo Lopez was bringing up, like Devin Haney, like Keyshawn Davis, like Jared Anderson, who, one way or another are being featured in a couple of things here and there for Top Rank. But those, comments are kind of sketchy on, all fronts that we've kind of like broken down. But Boxing Academic, you kind of heard his comments. So what do you think about what Teofimo Lopez said?
Well, I mean, quite naturally, it's insensitive. You have to recognize that. But shit, if you feel that way, go to Golden Boy.
Brother,
I'm just saying.
Let me tell you, Academic, because of his stupid ass mouth, pardon my French, James, because of his stupid mouth and his even worse brain, he has now talked himself into a must-win endeavor against Josh Taylor. Now think about this. Should he lose to Josh Taylor, which is a possibility, a decent possibility, where does he go from there? Does anyone touch this cancer with a 10-foot pole?
Nah.
The only thing that I don't know about that, Joseph, but I have to give him credit because he is at least fighting top level fighters. You can't say that for some other fighters who should be pound for pound number one or in the in that top ranking. You can't say that for all of those guys who initials begin with T and C.
Well, I'll tell. Look. They're very subtle, my friend. No. Hey, brother, hold the reins. Pull the reins. Yeah, expect it either later this week or next. The announcement of Spence versus Crawford. Okay, expect it. Embrace it. It's coming, whether you want it to or not. But I will say this. When it's the last fight on your contract with Top Rank, boy, it's sink or swim time. No more coddling. We're going to throw you in the deep end. It's up to you to float or swim like a champion. That's it. So that's why he's getting this assignment. Make no mistake, it's not them throwing him a bone. They're basically saying, okay, Junior, you're going to determine whether or not you have a future in this business or not.
Who knew? And the thing is, they gave him, the shot here, after the loss to Cambosos. They said, okay, this is what we got for you. We got this 3-fight setup. So, They put him in there against Pedro Campa. He got the TKO against Pedro Campa. And then, as we discussed, the Sandor Martin fight. And, well, that, they kind of said, hey, okay, we're giving you this fight in your hometown, in the big arena, not the small arena in this instance, the big arena, and see what you can do or what you could draw. And as you mentioned,
crickets,
nothing.
It's like a ghost town, brother.
Especially when the way that the production is set up, you only could open like what I'd say 3/4 of the big arena, for that type of event.
Yeah, let's just put it mildly, right? Let's just put it mildly. Top Rank lost their ass on that show. Do you know how much it costs to rent out that venue? New York, even just the taxes. They lost their ass.
Yeah,
you think they're going to do that again for this kid?
Nope.
The ingrate?
Nope. Ain't gonna.
They're like, dude, you're going to have to show us something. So if you're looking at Devin Haney and the treatment that he's currently getting, brother, you had that. You had that. And guess what? You didn't appreciate it.
Nope.
You didn't make the most of it, and you look like dog shit.
You dropped the ball, buddy.
So this is your last chance, brother, for the Top Rank steam train, brother. You either stay on or you jump off. This is a must-win for him, not just with Top Rank and ESPN, but for the remainder of his career. Because I tell you what, he is getting ready to go the same route. You better have Don King's number on speed dial, because that's the only one who's going to be interested in you if you lose your ass and you get knocked out or even lose a decision.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if people are going to even be doing him favors on the close rounds either. So he definitely needs to come out with a good game plan and come out hard on this fight.
He can't fight. He can't fight. Timidly or reluctantly, or you know what, Joseph, you kind of like made a little point right there with the whole Don King thing, because in his last fight, he really does fight like Adrian Broner.
Yep.
Like he's
a flat-footed counterpuncher by trade and looks like hot garbage if he's forced to take the lead. Now, let me ask you, James, what kind of fighter is Josh Taylor? Josh Taylor is a prolific pocket counterpuncher and a switch hitter from mid-range. He's not fond either of taking the lead. And in Teofimo's hometown, who's going to feel the most pressure to be more assertive and take the lead, force the action?
Oh, yeah, that's Teofimo.
Oh, boy, this has horror show written all over it.
Yep.
Because let me tell you, Josh Taylor is at his best when he's facing an assertive or aggressive-minded fighter, one who forces the action. Look at his performances against Regis Prograis. Look at his performance against Jose Ramirez. And then in comparison, look at his performance against Jack Catterall. Now, I'm going to ask you, where was that fight? Where did it take place with Jack Catterall?
Oh, that was in Glasgow, Scotland.
Exactly. Who felt the pressure to force the action when he heard the boos?
Oh, yeah, that was Josh Taylor.
I'll tell you what, when you hear boos around round 2 or 3, because both counterpunchers are going to be waiting for their opponent to get off, who's going to feel the pressure or the onus to press the action and make the fight happen?
Yeah, it's going to have to be Teo.
I'm saying it right now, guys. Teofimo is in trouble here.
Big trouble.
And it's a must-win, brother. You opened your big yap. This is what you get.
Big trouble for me, man, and it could end up real badly for him. I mean, for me, for Josh Taylor, I thought he had a great performance against Jose Ramirez. But here against Teofimo Lopez, he could end up having an even better performance, or it could be an even better result You
Yeah,
know,
because Teofimo is not an aggressive-minded fighter. He's a pocket counterpuncher, just like Josh Taylor. And what happened when he attempted to take the lead against Sandor Martin?
Oh man, you heard some boo birds. You heard
What happened when he tried to take the lead against a counterpuncher like George Kambosos Jr.?
Yep, he ended up getting caught.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, Josh Taylor is a much better fighter than George Kambosos Jr. when faced with an aggressive-minded fighter.
Yep.
He's in trouble, and I'm saying it now. He's in serious trouble with a capital T. And whose fault is that?
Mr. Teofimo Lopez Jr., but I could also add Mr. Teofimo Lopez Sr. too.
Look, yeah, and I'm going to say in the immortal words of Fred Sanford, you big dummy, you're going to get 5 across your lip. Oh, Chingao.
Yeah, he definitely has a task in front of him. But if he wins, he definitely I ain't gonna say he writes his ticket, but he definitely keeps himself in the discussion.
Yeah, well, he definitely keeps himself in the discussion. This is why it's a must-win for him. He is now looking at the rest of his career with this one fight. You talk about a Super Bowl for him. This is it. There is, in the immortal words of Apollo Creed, there is no tomorrow.
Oh, I think
there is no tomorrow.
Yeah, there is no, I think. But you know what? That reminded me. I think there was something else that Teofimo Lopez Sr. mentioned on Mill City Boxing. Yeah, let me confirm that.
No. Look. Yeah, when you're depending on your alcoholic father, right, to do damage control for your stupid ass, that's not good. That's not good. And guys, if you must hear, but like in the shadows, and once again, you didn't hear this from me, but from what I've heard, is that he and his dad have been hitting the bottle hard. Yep. And that probably lends itself to all the issues and all of the nonsense coming out of his mouth.
Yeah. So this did come from Teofimo Lopez Sr. Interview on Mill City Boxing.
Here we go.
He said that Teofimo Lopez is one fight away from being a Hall of Famer.
Chingao. Brother, talk. Geez, I wonder why his son is so delusional. I tell you what, if it's in the Hall of Fame for promoting tequila, sure.
Well, let me say this. I'm not defending him, but would you say that people have written Lomachenko off as a future Hall of Famer, even as far as his young career, like a few fights in? Would you say that they were projecting him to be a Hall of Famer?
Oh, gosh, dude. Even if he only fought 5 fights as a pro, just looking at his amazing amateur career, which we will never see again. Dude, when you have 400 fights and you only have 1 loss, holy cow, dude. That is legendary. And there was a reason why he was able to demand, you know what? I want to fight for a major world title my first fight. Well, they couldn't do that. They couldn't justify that with the sanctioning organizations, but they did it with the second, and he almost won. Now, obviously, he came up short, but in his 3rd fight, he fought for a major world title, and he beat the Gary Russell Jr. That right there, brother. It's like, holy cow. And then when you look at Gary Russell Jr.'s subsequent decade in this business, okay, he only lost to Magsayo because he was basically a one-armed bandit. That victory keeps getting better and better as time goes on. And then look at the way he just handed the Axeman, Nicholas Walters, gave him that ass whooping. Ask yourself, how on earth did they actually come up with that No Moschenko moniker? Because when people when he shut his opponents down mentally, they're like, you know what? I'm all out of options. I'm going to get knocked out if I continue going
And
this path.
Rigondeaux as well.
And Guillermo Rigondeaux. Had you ever seen anyone up to that point embarrass Guillermo Rigondeaux like that? No, look, Lomachenko is an all-time great, guys, especially at 26 and 30. At 35, well, you're seeing him in these unusual challenges for him. One, right, because he's getting older, and two, he's a very little fighter.
So the point I'm making, though,
Vasyl Lomachenko, yes, he's an all-time great and a future Hall of Famer. That is not even in the same conversation as Teofimo Lopez.
I agree, but the logic that the dad or whoever is using, you have written Lomachenko off as a Hall of Famer as early as 2-3 fights in his career. My son beat him. Enter the logic of he only take a couple more fights and he gonna be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, well, so what we look at, and I understand that, and you're probably right, they are using that logic, and I'm going to repeat, in the immortal words of Wesley Snipes, even the sun shines on a dog's ass every now and again.
That's funny.
Dude, that's absolutely true, right? It's like when you look at that fight, you know what? It's starting to make more sense now. It's starting to add more credibility to the idea that, well, maybe Lomachenko was indeed injured going into that fight. Because otherwise, dude, Teofimo Lopez since then hasn't been impressive. Now, you would think, hey, if he's killing himself to make 35, boy, he's going to be a beast at 40. Has he resembled anything like that?
Nope.
Hell no. Hell no. This is why Top Rank, they're like, look, this guy has delusions of grandeur. He thinks he's much more popular than he actually is. He thinks he's much better than he is. We don't have time for this rubbish. This is your last chance saloon, Junior. You better make the most of it because we're not going to guarantee. The question is, do you want to be with ESPN ever again? The big question is, and the more, I guess, affable question is, do we want to be with you still?
Right. So, here at this point with Teo, like I said, it's do or die here, and he has a really, really, really big challenge in front of him. Now, if he gets through this, props to him, but that wouldn't necessarily, make him like, oh, he's, this, I don't know, demigod or whatever, his father wants to, build him up as. But it really has to make a statement in the 140-pound division, and it could open up some things there at 140, whether it would be, fighters that are, already there at 140 or some that may be coming up to 140, as in one of the fighters that we mentioned that could potentially get a big win on May 20th. So we'll see.
Look, I will say this in defense of Teofimo Lopez. He is one great style matchup away of reminding everyone who he claims to be. Like, can you imagine if he's in the ring with someone like William Zepeda?
Like he could see he would need somebody like that, and then
can you imagine the prolific counterpuncher and the explosiveness of Teofimo Lopez against someone who gives him that many targets?
Right.
I'll tell you what, if you thought William Zepeda got hurt in Tijuana, brother, Teofimo Lopez would be all wrong for him, and I would say he gets him out of there by round 4 or 5.
Yeah, he would. But those are the types of fighters that Teofimo Lopez has looked great against, and
he needs an aggressive style matchup.
Yeah,
he needs someone like Isaac Cruz. He needs someone like William Zepeda. He needs someone like, and dare I say, Subriel Matias. He needs someone like that. He needs someone like Gary Antoine Russell. He needs someone who brings it, right, and who forces the action. This would make Teofimo Lopez look like a real man of genius, so to speak. But I will say this, perhaps that's exactly why he has a beef with ESPN and Top Rank right now, because they're feeding him style matchups that are all wrong. And they have ever since he moved up to 140.
Yeah. And we're gonna see like how this works here against Josh Taylor, which, like you said, is another counterpuncher and a very precise counterpuncher.
A switch hitting counterpuncher.
Yep. So that's gonna really be an issue there with that.
So you know what? Perhaps reading between the lines and once again trying to translate the moron linguistic bullshit of Teofimo Lopez, trying to translate idiocracy, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he means when he says, hey, you want those guys, give them favorable style matchups, guys who aren't ticket sellers, guys who couldn't sell out my living room on a Saturday night. Well, then you can have them. Maybe that's what he's alluding to. Now, once again, we can only try to ascertain this because he's an idiot and doesn't know how to connect his thoughts and make them make sense when it comes out of his mouth.
Well, hey, I mean, he's kind of feeling the type of way. I mean, he's looking at, like I said, Devin Haney having this fight here with Vasyl Lomachenko in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. He probably looking at, Jared Anderson going up against Kazabuski in Toledo, Ohio. That's coming up on July 1st. And saying, hey, I mean, you giving these guys these type of opportunities, but what about it's almost like like the wrestling thing. What about me? What about Raven? It's like what about
oh, classic WCW. What about me? Hey, can you pull up Khalid's point? It's a very good one.
The one where he called him out.
Go ahead, pull it up. Pull it up, brother.
He says Tio has called for Josh Taylor, though. And
that is correct. He petitioned to be his mandatory challenger. That is absolutely correct. Now, was that Top Rank's recommendation? Or was that Teofimo's? Because if it's Teofimo's, boy, he's dumber than I even thought he was.
So I have a question for us.
Yo.
Let's say he loses to Josh Taylor. Is he still in a better position than Adrian Broner just based off his win against Lomachenko?
Well, just seeing that his age and he's still in his fighting prime, of course he is. Adrian Broner, look, I love me some AB, but he's a shot fighter, guys. And the only reason why he's here still, it's almost like, why is Madonna still touring? Well, because she wants the money and she needs the money. It's not because she's hot and not because she's a good performer, not because she's making great music still. No, that's AB right now. AB is like one of those 50-year-old women who are at the bars wondering why no young guys want to pick her up. That's AB. That's AB right now. And I hate to say that, but that's the reality. Well, he's like one of those old women who still think that they're looking in the mirror at a beauty queen at 18. Far from it. Brother, look, Adrian Broner, to you, brother, this is to you. Whatever you were going to accomplish in your boxing career, it's already happened.
Hey, you talk about a woman that's like 50 years old going to the club thinking they compete with all the other 18-year-olds.
That's Adrian Broner.
Well, when it came to what happened a couple of weeks ago, I guess he was 50 years old or something, because he must have stayed in bed because he was not at the press conference, buddy.
And you were there, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. I was like, oh man, that was horrible, man. Had breakfast and everything, and Bill Hutchinson showed up. He showed up on time. He was there. He was ready, and he ain't had no Adrian Broner, nothing. I was like,
Oh
oh
boy.
man, it
Well,
was
maybe reality is starting to set in,
yeah.
right?
Well, we're gonna see on that one. But I wanted to get into this thing here. We're about an hour in on the live conversation with Joseph Herron of Warweek Radio Network and the Boxing Academic. Give a shout out to all of those that are here with us live, and also we'll give a special shout out to those that will be listening to the podcast on demand that will be available later. Want to get into the next topic of conversation. That is the main bout coming up on May the 6th in Estadio Akron in Zapopan, Mexico. That is the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, as I say, Santos Saul Alvarez Barragan against John Ryder. This will be the 63rd professional bout of Alvarez's career going up against John Ryder. John Ryder has a record of 32-5. Canelo Alvarez has a record of 58 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws. John Ryder comes in, well, he the WBO interim title when Mr. Zach Parker suffered an injury during their fight. And I guess, that WBO thing got in the rotation, and so Canelo is going to be facing John Ryder here. And, a lot of people are, easily or, quickly dismissing this particular bout. And some may say, hey, they may have something or like a little argument there, as you have multiple contenders in the super middleweight division, particularly a WBC interim super middleweight champion and a WBA regular super middleweight champion on there in Mr. David Benavidez and a Mr. Whew, he he showed out at T-Mobile Arena too. Mr. David Burrell Jr.
Oh boy, yeah. Look, Ronnie Shields.
Yeah,
Boy, he has a real gem on his hands, doesn't he?
yeah, he does.
Boy,
does.
You know what? At 68 and at 75, he looks to be the future of boxing. At only age 25,
Whew.
he seems to be improving on it with every opponent. And according to Ronnie, he says, I've only had 2 guys in my entire 5 decades in this business that look like a young Dave Morrell Jr. And I'm going to say it, Evander Holyfield and Pernell Whitaker.
Ooh.
He says Dave Morrell Jr. is that special. He's so athletically gifted. He can do things in the ring that no one else at 68 and 75 can do. And this is why we're trying to make him into a big attraction and big ticket seller, because that's the only way people are going to be able to or want to agree to fight this gentleman.
Yeah. Got to be able to, have him be the attraction, have him, be a draw and build him up to where, people have that demand and want to see him. And so you want to get those type of fights to build him up, to get his popularity up before he has those fights against maybe David Benavidez or maybe even Demetrius Andrade or Jamal Charlo or something like that, coming down the line. But we'll see what happens there for Mr. David Morrell Jr. I think he's gonna, have some more fights over there in the Armory in Minnesota, as they pull some good crowds there, whatnot. Have a good little get together for those fight cards there. But back to the thing here with like I said, John Ryder, yeah, he did have a fight, some time back against Colin Smith, where he lost by unanimous decision. Some people felt like he, did very well in that fight. Uh,
Okay, let me ask you this, James. Let me
yeah,
ask you this. And once again, Gogi stated this on his show.
uh-huh.
And once again, this is why I love doing shows with Gogi. He gives you the insight, and boy, it really lends itself. If you're a bettor, if you're a gambler,
Uh-huh.
okay, here's the sexy bet. Now, let me ask you this: when is the last time John Ryder actually fought at 5,000 feet elevation? Never. In fact, in preparation for this event, he goes, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and spend my last 2 weeks in camp in LA to get my body adjusted to the time difference. Brother, that's sea level. That's pretty stupid. So the customarily great conditioned John Ryder, boy, he's going to be sucking wind by the second or third round. Easily. And you lend that self, and then you couple that with the horrific style matchup that is Canelo Alvarez, the sharpshooting and creative counterpuncher with the best reflexes in the division. Oh my gosh, this spells horror show. And so, guys, my sexy bet, and this is for the low price of absolutely nothing. I like taking Canelo Alvarez in the round group betting in rounds 4 through 6 at a plus 350 at BetMGM.
Yeah,
take it to the bank.
I was trying to look up the joints right now to see like what those numbers would
see. Ordinarily, John Ryder, he's a handful for a lot of guys because he's in such great shape. He'll at least take you into the late part of the fight, but he's going to be sucking wind bad by round 2 or 3 and expect Canelo to carve him up like a Thanksgiving turkey and have him out of there by between rounds 4 through 6. It's going to look reminiscent of Abney Yildirim.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be like that. Where he's going to just overwhelm John Ryder in that matchup. And
dude, it's going to look like a piñata party, brother.
Yeah, yes, it's not going to be good.
And see, I'm Hispanic. I can say that shit.
And
I'm not Teofimo Lopez. I'm Hispanic. I can say that
shit. Minus 1,600.
Oh boy. Yep, that's the straight up. That's the straight up win, right? Yep. So yeah, Canelo Alvarez, just a straight up victory, is minus 1,600 or 16-1 betting favorite. While John Golden Parachute Ryder, who's going to shortly announce his retirement subsequently after he gets his ass whooped, is at a plus 800 or 8-1 betting underdog. Now, once again, they're being nice with these odds because no one is betting. From what a friend of mine told me, no one is putting action on this fight. So if you expected to be a realistic Canelo Alvarez by a minus 2,500, right?
Right.
The odds are tightening because they want to encourage people to bet.
They're tweaking it a little bit. They're they're turning the knob a little bit, because they want to get people, to get in on that action or something. You know what I mean? Even if it was like a parlay, I'm like, you could try to put in a parlay or something. You know what I mean? But a lot of people ain't really touching on it. On the live chat, shout out to Sly Tendencies. He says,
Brother Sly
Radio.
Shout out to you, my man. Thank you for being here, my brother.
He says people are sleeping on Ryder. He's a legitimate contender, and he stopped the man who Andre ducked twice.
Well, I will say this. He stopped Zach Parker the same manner that Chris Bird stopped Vitaly Klitschko.
Well,
is that really saying anything at all?
Yeah, not really. And the whole thing about the Zach Parker Demetrius Andrade thing, Demetrius Andrade was willing to fight Zach Parker for over $1 million, but once he got injured and his little co-promotional deal or his promotional deal with Matchroom got taken apart, then he had no promoter, no backing, no whatsoever. So when that second purse bid came up, just see how much it was for Queensbury Promotions to win that particular purse bid. And you'll see
It was a little over 300 grand.
Yeah, he said, "Nah, I'm alright.
I'm sorry. How much is he making now?
Well, I gotta see.
How much did he make in DC?
I wonder. I want to see what he was making up over in DC for that fight that he had there at the Verizon Center or whatever they call it over here right now. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. But yeah, back to the thing there. John Ryder, who is it? Ness Mendoza said that, hey, I'm seeing Y equals Ryder like Smith body shot KO. So body shot, Canelo with this, expression.
Okay, and so who's he going to call out? Is he going to say after the fight, Dmitry Bivol, you're next, my friend? Is he going to say that? Or guys, heard it through the grapevine, is Samson and his man, David Benavidez, going to be there ringside in Guadalajara?
Well, that is the buzz that David Benavidez there in Mexico. And yes, we've kind of like had a lot of these conversations, back and forth over the past couple weeks, over the past couple months, so to speak. Now, there has been a recent comment in reference to Canelo. This was weeks back, where he said that, hey, I mean, he would welcome a challenge against David Benavidez. That's one thing that he said. He basically said that. And we've also had conversations with David Benavidez's father and trainer, Jose Benavidez Sr., who, like he said, he welcomes a challenge with Canelo, but he's not, holding his breath or, just, sitting in a chair just waiting. Oh, Canelo, pick us. No, he's not doing that. He said, you know what? We may have something set up where, hey, we had to fight against Plant. We may have something, against Charlo, and then, later on the line against David Morrell. So if the challenge comes up with Canelo, cool, we'll take it. But if not, hey, we got fights ready to go for David Benavidez. So,
that's it. And that is the gospel. James is absolutely right about that. That is the truth. I have actually verified that as well.
So, I mean, and what was it? There's a recent comment thing coming out with Canelo Alvarez saying that, hey, I mean, if he's going to go ahead and face Dmitry Bivol, it's going to be at 175 pounds because he doesn't want, people to say, oh, you drained Dmitry Bivol to 168 pounds. So he says if he's going up against Bivol, then it's going to be at 175 once again.
Well, that sounds noble and that sounds gallant. But the real truth is, he doesn't want to put all of his titles, man, on the line for Dmitry Bivol. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He's not stupid. He's not stupid. Now, let me tell you why the Bivol fight doesn't happen. Okay, what happens? And I fell for it, and I feel like a big idiot defending some of these Eastern European fighters, that guys like Alexander Usyk, guys like Dmitry Bivol. Oh, you know what? They care about the sport. They're more interested in legacy than just making a dime, right? Bullshit. As soon as they get a taste of those inflated purses, man, they're no better than the American fighters that they frequently criticize. Man, what did his manager, Vadim Kornilov, what did he just say? Well, we were in talks with Golden Boy about a Jaime Munguia fight this summer, but it wasn't a reasonable offer. It wasn't a sensible or realistic offer. And then we were talking with Top Rank about Arthur Beterbiev and unifying all the belts, but it wasn't a realistic offer. Okay. Well, then we were talking to the guys from Callum Smith, Matchroom, and Eddie Hearn, and it just wasn't a realistic offer. Well, brother, what the hell is a realistic offer to you? Who do you think you are? What did you really win when you beat Canelo? Are you suffering from Teofimo Lopez syndrome and think you're the cat's meow now? You magically turned into a huge ticket seller and big box office attraction? Where on earth, and I'm speaking literally now, where on earth do you think you can sell tickets? Now, keep in mind, he makes a career high payday against Canelo Alvarez, inflated purse. Second, another fight, 2 in a row, he makes an inflated purse from the Middle East, fighting Zurdo Ramirez, right?
Yep.
Now he's grown accustomed to receiving these fat inflated purses, unmerited, way beyond his realistic market value. And in my opinion, he's going to demand way too much, and Canelo Alvarez is going to say, look, son, you have no idea what you're doing here. Okay, I'm still the man. I'm the big daddy. I'm the golden boy. I'm the one who calls the shots because I have the gold. Okay? Yep. And if you don't like what we give you, we're going to move on. We don't need you. Okay? Get a better offer from somewhere else. So if he pushes too hard and demands the fight at 68, if he demands, quote unquote, a more realistic offer, then guess what? Canelo's going to say, you know what? Thanks for playing, brother, but I don't need you. Kiss my ass. And you're going to see, mark my words, you're going to see in September, David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez. Yes.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. And then that, that would mean like, hey, Bivol, you gonna be holding the bag. You gonna be looking around. You gonna be like Will Smith in that last episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where all of the stuff in the house was out. You gonna be looking around. Nothing there. All right. I'm sorry, but you gotta understand what your worth is. You can't say, "Oh, just because I beat Canelo, I'm the guy." That's pretty much the same situation that we talked about earlier when Teofimo Lopez defeated Vasyl Lomachenko. He overinflated his worth.
That's it. The conversation comes full circle, brother.
And so I'm like saying, hey, if you end up holding the bag and Canelo says, you know what, we ain't paying that money, he's just gonna walk away and he's gonna have, all of these other fights that he can go ahead and take and get some good money from it. And then what are you gonna do, Bivol? You've already had a whole bunch of other fights that fell through. So what are you gonna do? Try to revisit them? I'm not sure about that. I know that Slide Tendency said on the live chat, and you see the WBC said no to Bivol if he fights Beterbiev. That you said the WBC strap would not be on the line. I'm like, number one, that's a bunch of malarkey BS and all of that. Because one thing I'm gonna say this, right? Well, one, hey, Beterbiev is from Russian background, and number two, Bivol ain't even really staying over in Russia. He over in California. Okay.
Yep.
He's staying in California.
He's in Indio.
He's in Indio, California. That's
look. I will say this, and once again, this is the weakness of. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, JR. My apologies. I'm
like, that ain't no different than Sergey Kovalev saying that he's staying out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Like, oh, y'all is wilding, yo. Come on. Like,
Brother James on a roll.
Like, wilding, man. So,
brother, look, this is the truth with the sanctioned organizations. He's making this huge posturing move, right? Mauricio Suleiman saying, "Oh yes, we do not condone the war in Ukraine, and we condemn, and we will not put our belt on the line between a Russian fighter." Brother, if Canelo said, you know what, I want to defend the WBC trinket at 68, he would say, you know what, I think that's a great idea. Let's go, Canelo. Brother, 3% of Canelo's purse is a lot of money. Yep. More than they will make probably the 6 months leading up to May, or September combined. Mauricio Suleiman, is he really going to say no to Canelo's money? Hell no, dude. Hell no. He's looking at Beterbiev versus Bivol and the realistic 3% of that purse. And he's like, you know what? I can make this position. I can take this position because that's chump change. But if Canelo said, hey, you know what? Or perhaps this just popped into the medulla. Perhaps that's Canelo's ace in the hole. If Dimitri Bivol, and if he does decide to defend that undisputed distinction at 68 and loses, well, he still has the WBC. How do you like that? He's still champion.
Hey, that's a good backup.
But I don't think that's going to happen. In my opinion, Dimitri Bivol is going to think that he's the big daddy, and he's going to demand too much, and Canelo's going to tell him to get lost and go to hell. That's what I think is really going to happen. But Sly said, hey, man, he stated this further up in the chat. He said, remember, everyone picked Canelo to stop Dimitri Bivol. Yeah. Sly, do you remember what I picked in that fight? I told everyone that Bivol was going to outbox and win a UD against Canelo, and everyone thought I was silly. How'd that play out?
They were calling them UD ball, basically. You know.
Yep, dude. And let me tell you, man. Canelo Alvarez, and once again, he doesn't have the benefit of the close competitive rounds in this fight going into that first one because he was so heavily favored and because he was the #1 pound-for-pound fighter, right? And now he puts this up kind of mocking me, everyone but Joe. No, go back and listen to the show, brother. James will tell you I clearly picked Bivol, and it was a very unpopular pick at the time. And I told everyone that it was going to happen. I even wrote an article about it. And guys, let me tell you, Canelo, boy, it stacked against him this time. Because once again, going into that first fight, he was the pound-for-pound king. Eddie Hearn was making noise like, you know what? I don't think he can actually lose it this time. I think he's the perfect fighter, most complete fighter in boxing. And he's an all-time great. Okay, so going into that, the judges gave him the benefit of all the close competitive rounds because he was Canelo. He doesn't have that reputation going into the second fight. He's going to have to do more to eke out those close competitive rounds this time. In the minds of the judges, Bivol has his number.
Yep.
So he's up against it. Okay, and once again, if Eddie Reynoso has any clout, any say, any influence with Canelo Alvarez, he will talk him out of this fight. Because I tell you what, as strong as David Benavidez looks, Canelo is the better. It's a more favorable style matchup for Canelo, and he would be favored going into this fight.
Yeah, he would. And yes, you're right. It would be a better style matchup for Canelo Alvarez, coming off of, what has happened recently. So, we're definitely looking forward to see, what goes down with that, man.
Can you pull up Sly's last comment, Brother James?
What he said?
Yep, he remembers. See, you remember, dude. And everyone's calling me crazy. Oh, man, it's going to be easy work. Canelo's the best fighter in boxing. It's going to be easy work for Canelo. Yeah, he said that. And now he's like, dude, no, Bivol's going to make it look easy. This is a horrific style matchup for Canelo Alvarez.
Hey, and then like DT3, shout out DT3, he says Bivol threw too many punches for Canelo, and that Canelo is basically a 2-3 guy.
It wasn't just that, guys, and here's where Canelo always has trouble. If you look at his previous opponents, they all have one thing in common: a very intelligent lead hand. It's the intelligent jab that gives Canelo a lot of problems. Once again, the prolific counterpuncher, it freezes him. He doesn't know when to get off.
Right.
So he has no choice but to take the lead and be more assertive. And that's one thing that he's not as good doing. He's not as proficient.
He's not as proficient. He can't really do that with his limited mobility, off his feet. So
Tip Bayless has the beat.
yeah, he can't do anything against Bivol's jab. Yeah.
That's it. And you couple that with the size, athleticism, and footwork of Dimitri Bivol.
Definitely footwork.
It's a horror show. And guys, I'm sorry, even at 68, nothing really changes.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's the thing with Bivol. I mean, he has the length and he has that, foot movement to, get in and out of spots, especially against a guy that has, like I said, limited mobility in Canelo Alvarez. He really likes to work off of people that don't really have, front, like forward and backward movement and side to side movement. You know what I'm saying?
And look, punches coming from a guy like Dimitri Bivol, they don't feel downy soft. He can punch. He can punch. Just ask Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez.
Yep.
He didn't know what the hell to do against that guy. Now, keep in mind, just behind Shakur Stevenson, Dimitri Bivol, statistically, is the hardest man to hit in boxing behind Shakur Stevenson. That's for a reason, guys. The footwork, the jab, the athleticism, the lateral movement. This is a horror show for Canelo Alvarez. I told you guys the first time it was going to happen, and I'm telling you guys, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. So
the only man who has a chance of stopping or beating Dimitri Bivol, and not on points, is Artur Beterbiev.
Yep.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. And I will say this. Possibly my man David Morrell Jr. if he moves up to 175.
Yeah, and I'll have to catch up with you on those quotes that you got from Coach Ronnie Shields on David Morrell.
Guys, my virtual article with Coach Ronnie talking about the Dave Morrell situation, it's hilarious, is still on my channel. Please go check it out after the show, please. And James, you need to sit down with Coach Ronnie and have a one-on-one. He gets fired up about that topic.
Yeah. I'll catch up with them. I'll see if I'll send them a text or whatever it is to see if I catch up with them later this week.
You should, man. You should. It's really funny.
I'll definitely do that here. But where we at? We're at like 9 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said.
Well, look, going back, James, and my final thoughts. Okay, my final thoughts on John Ryder, Canelo Alvarez versus John Ryder this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be chicken soup for all Canelo Alvarez fans. They're going to be reminded of what a special fighter Canelo Alvarez is. You're going to get the full arsenal. Now, one of the things that makes Canelo such a phenom are his reflexes, his ability to pick someone off as they're trying to close the distance. And he is one of the best inside fighters in boxing, as well as one of the most creative counterpunchers boxing has seen since Julio Cesar Chavez, Jose Luis Castillo. He's cut from that same cloth. Okay? It's very difficult to anticipate where he's going to hit you at mid-range. He's so fast and explosive. It's going to make Canelo fans jump up for joy, and they're going to be saying, bring on Bivol, unwisely, but they're going to be fired up after seeing their man look like a prime Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. Guys, expect this to be over between rounds 4 and 6.
Well, they'll make it a little bit longer than the Yildirim fight, but that's because, Ryder, I give Ryder a little more credit. He's a very tough fighter, a very, gritty fighter, himself. And, I felt like, that's what got him through that fight against Daniel Jacobs, which, I still.
At sea level.
Yeah. I still felt like Daniel Jacobs should have won that fight, but John Ryder still was able to get that win.
Woo!
So that kind of kept him in the loop in the super middleweight division, and got him in that position to fight Zach Parker. So and then he was able to get the win against Zach Parker. the circumstances or whatever it is. So he's able to get this chance, and we'll see if he's going to be able to cash in. But I kind of like to see this similar to the Anthony Yildirim fight, where
Yep.
you'll see fans of Canelo Alvarez saying that, oh, this is the old Canelo Alvarez. Canelo was
He's
back.
back. He's back. He's 100% healthy. Bring on Dimitri Bivol.
So there's that. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes there on May 6th, this Saturday, in Mexico. So we got that going down. Of course, we got a few other fights down the line that we'll be able to tackle on the Boxing Source here, over the course of the next couple of weeks or so. So we'll see how that all goes. But with that being said, with this being about an hour and 30 minutes in, we'll bring a close to this particular podcast. We give a big thanks to Joseph Herron of Warweek Radio Network for joining in.
Hey, now that we have a bigger audience, go ahead and announce the news once again, brother. Right. Go ahead.
So we're going to rehash what we talked about earlier on the podcast. So on July 8th, we will have it be rescheduled once again for the WBA, as I say, regular welterweight championship. Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Iamana Stanionis in San Antonio at the home of the San Antonio Spurs. And you're going to have Floyd Schofield Jr. also added on the card there. So we're going to have one of the more anticipated bouts in the welterweight division taking place on July 8th in San Antonio. Don't miss out.
Woo-hoo!
So there's that. No, Tim Bayless. Come on, Tim Bayless. He says for the 7th time. Come on, man. Don't do that.
Wait a minute. Is he talking about Andrade scheduling a fight? Is that what he's talking about?
Oh, well, I don't know, but I had to check on the thing with Demetrius Andrade. Like I did say in the chat, yes, over the past week or so, there has been negotiations for Demetrius Andrade and Jermall Charlo to have a fight. So we'll see where that has gone. But I would say over the next few days or so, we'll see if we get any progress on that. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute. Did you hear the same things that I was?
No, it was more like, direct off of, what Jermall Charlo was saying.
Okay, because I was just told by Coach Ronnie. I said, brother, a lot of people have been rumbling about that. And he goes, man, don't listen to that bullshit, man. He's not going to fight Demetrius Andrade. He goes, I tell you what, though, if Carlos Adames keeps talking, that's the person we want for the fall or winter.
Whoa.
We want a tune-up fight, and we're going to shut Carlos Adames' big mouth.
Ooh. So
that's Coach Ronnie. And once again, James, you need to start co-hosting the Ronnie Shields show with me, brother. How about you doing that tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, brother? Co-host the show with me, my friend.
All right, I'll jump on. I'll jump on at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll do
yes,
that.
Sir. Yes, sir. Two minds are better than one. And I tell you what, you get to ask all the questions that you want to Coach Ronnie while you have him there. And he's gonna love you, man. You get to know him, and he's one of the best guys in this brutal ass beating business. Coach Ronnie is a true gentleman, and boy, he's got lots of great things to say about Carlos Adames. Make for a great article, brother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I kind of heard a couple of comments that he's made about Carlos Adames. But
make no mistake about it, guys. That's the fight that he wants. Mm-hmm. That's the fight that PBC wants, most importantly, as well as Steven Espinosa. There it is.
Right. So that's the thing. And Sly, as we just mentioned a little bit earlier, so on tomorrow.
Whoa. Hold on, brother. I know you have to go. I have to address Tip Bayless right now. Can you pull up his last two comments, please?
Okay, so
I'll make this quick. Go ahead.
Wants Adames and not Andrade, and he says that's enough.
Okay, brother. Is Demetrius Andrade currently the mandatory challenger for the WBC middleweight champion Jamal Charlo? Okay, now is Carlos Adames currently the mandatory challenger for the WBC middleweight champion Jamal Charlo? If you answered yes to the second one, how is that a duck? And there it is.
And of course, people know about the whole little situation with the WBC, so we're not going to get into that. But like I said, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, War Week Radio Network. You're going to have the host, Joseph Herron, in there with Coach Ronnie Shields.
And my co-host, JR of the Boxing Source. How do you like that?
So here you go. So that is what we got coming up here tomorrow. And like I said, I give thanks to everyone that has joined in on this particular podcast. We will get it back and jumping hopefully on the regularly scheduled times of Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Just had to do it today because like yesterday was a little bit of a hectic situation off and on. So we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program on Sunday, and that should be May 7th. So for Joseph Herron of War Week Radio Network, for the Boxing Academic, this is James Bell of the Boxing Source signing off. And like I say at the end of every show, the point of boxing is to hit, not hit, understand, and trade. On that note, folks, I'm out. Have a good evening, everybody.